If you're watching me from anywhere, the program is The Living Earth, a program where we look at every environmental related issue and our sustainable livelihood as the people. And I've done a couple of series in this line of discussion, but this is the first time we are going to be having this aspect of it with Professor Hilary Inyang, who is right here with me today to look at very important and key issues that has to do with our environment and sustainable livelihood.
I am Professor Hilary Inyang. I am the U.S. Ambassador's Distinguished Scholar to Ethiopia, and I'm formerly Director of the Institute for Environmental Engineering and Science at the University of North Carolina, Charlotte, where I also held the position of Duke Energy Distinguished Professor of Environmental Engineering and Science back in the United States.
Today, for the start, we are looking at our water quality issues, especially as a country.
Well, as you know, there are four elements or pillars of sustainable development. We always say that you have economic development, you have population management, you have environmental sustainability, and you have social equity. Two of those are very highly affected by water quality and quantity. First, economic development. Nigeria, like most other African countries or developing countries, is embarking on sustainable development to provide goods and services for its population. What this means is that you have a lot of industries that have to be built. Most of these industries are processing industries, especially in the area of agriculture. Without sufficient water, that would be imperative. And then we look at the issue of health, human health. The provision of water, treated water in Nigeria cities and rural areas is very important with respect to public health. Unfortunately, most of the Nigerian cities do not have networked water systems, so the opportunity to treat the water is very limited. So on the count of health, economic development, and industrialization, Nigeria needs very, very clean water systems.
What would be your current assessment of our water quality in the country?
Nigeria is a very well-drained country. Of course, it is also situated in the humid tropics, meaning that it has reasonable annual rainfall. It varies from relatively low in places like Kano, Maiduguri, and Sokoto, because those are in the fringes of the Sahara, the Sahelian part of Nigeria. But if you go all the way down to Lagos, Benin, Calabar, Port Harcourt, and all of those coastal cities, precipitation rates are very high. So water quantity is not such a problem. But as you have rightly mentioned, water quality is a problem because with such a high population and waste generation rates, you constantly have drainage from trash areas, poor practices in agriculture in terms of runoff of fertilizers from agricultural land. You also have things like erosion that causes a lot of turbidity in Nigerian surface waters. If you fly over much of the Nigerian landscape, you see most of the lakes and the water bodies are brown. They are brown because you have a lot of sediments that have been deposited in them. So yes, there is a definite problem of poor water quality in Nigeria, and systems are not in place to properly treat Nigeria's water systems.
Okay, so is there a special distribution of poor water quality in the country, and where are the worst hit locations?
As you might expect, the municipalities are where you have the biggest problems. So we have a place like Lagos, which is currently about the 5th largest city in the world and does not have networked water quality systems. So the water quality is very bad there, and that is exacerbated by the fact that Lagos does not have a very effective waste management system. So you have trash piles from which runoff extracts contaminants by leaching. So it's a constant problem. Another place is Kano. Kano has the problem of many abattoirs that are not controlled. In many countries that operate such industries, you must have effluent guideline systems. I was very involved in the U.S. Effluent Guideline Systems when I was the chair of the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency's Science Board Engineering in Washington, D.C. So a country that operates commerce and has a lot of chemicals in commerce, like Nigeria. There are about 25,000 chemicals in Nigeria's commerce, compared to about 50, 60,000 in the US. But it is because in the US we have control systems, so the risk factors are much, much more critical in Nigeria than we would have in the United States. So those major cities are a place where you have that. Obviously, you cannot ignore the Niger Delta of Nigeria, where you've had decades of oil spillages, which by my last count, 2014, there were about 3,000 spill sites in the Niger Delta. I did that work for the federal government of Nigeria. Not much has been done there yet. So you have the whole region of the country with very poor water quality. You have the cities with problems. You have the middle belt of Nigeria where there is artisanal mining, meaning that poor people mine and then are exposed to a lot of risk. There's excavation of the soil and massive erosion in places like the middle belt, the eastern part of Nigeria, and all of those eroded sediments end up in surface water bodies. So it's a big problem in Nigeria.
Yeah, Prof, we would like you to throw more light on this because it's somehow frightening. The little infrastructure we have as a country is mostly situated at the urban settlement, and most of these areas, locations, and information as the red lines where we have work of the poor water quality running through are the urban settlement, the urban cities.
Well, for specific reasons, because in a country like Nigeria where you have migration from rural areas to urban areas in search of work, what you typically have is that you are going to have the periphery of those cities dominated by people of low means. So waste management services, water quality, all of those things would not be at optimal levels. As a result, the cities have more problems than the rural areas when it comes to water quality. And by the way, the provision of infrastructural services. So infrastructural services provided must be viewed in terms of the population that demands it. In the urban areas, the population is very high for reasons I've just mentioned. And as a result, you will have what I would call squalid conditions in those areas.
So generally, how does this translate to the level of the impact it has on the public health?
Obviously, there is a problem there because where you do not have, because of the nexus between environmental exposures and human health. What happens with environmental exposures is that sometimes the ailments are not immediate with respect to the exposure. So there is the problem of attribution. The person does not know whether the ailment results from the exposure because some of the responses may be chronic. They come much, much later, 10, 20 years. And between those time periods, you have interventions of other sorts. The person may not have good nutrition and so forth. So definitely there is some relationship between deleterious environmental conditions and public health. There are three possible ways that we can get exposed to contaminants: by inhalation, and that's a problem in those urban areas because of dust and automobile fumes in a place like Lagos, in a place like Port Harcourt, in a place like Kano, in some of those major cities where you have massive traffic jams. So you're going to have emissions of hydrocarbons, and you take it in by inhalation. The other one is by ingestion, that is by drinking water or by food. So these are the avenues for exposures, and when those get into the bloodstream, into the body, they head to organs and may damage those organs in time. The science is very deep in those aspects. We call that science toxicology, and it's very dense science. But what we know is that there is definitely a connection between life expectancy and environmental exposures. There are 4 factors that influence life expectancy. Unfortunately, people in these parts of the world have a life expectancy of 53.4 for women and about 52.5 for men. Compare that to about 78, 80 years of life expectancy in the United States, Europe, and some parts of Asia, Japan, Korea. Why? 4 reasons. Life expectancy depends on environmental exposures, diet, physical and emotional state, and genetic predisposition. So environmental conditions constitute one of the 4 pillars that affect life expectancy.